Thank you to Ranjan and to Vanish. Before I go into my presentation and tell you a bit about myself, I just want to say thank you to both Ranjan and Vanish as well, because I came out of the corporate world about 6 or 7 years ago. I've got a commercial background in marketing, and my job was really around partnership marketing, which is actually joint venture marketing. So it's more than giving people points, it's about understanding their behaviour, connecting people and how they interact with a product or a service. And that's the same as what we do in property. Now, the reason I wanted to give a special thank you to Ranjan and Vanish, about 7 years ago, when I came out of the corporate world at the height of the recession, both of them said that you need to spend 50% of your time attracting finance and 50% of your time finding deals. Whereas up until that point, I spent about 150% of my time trying to find deals and no time finding finance. And I could find the deals, I could find the opportunities, but then I couldn't find people, the banks, to joint venture with me. And the banks at the time were my joint venture partner. And that was my biggest mistake, because I was in the recession and I couldn't get funding. So I was finding, brilliant opportunities. Now, I put this slide up, the state of the nation, because in a way, we're kind of back to what people were thinking and saying in 2009. There's all this doom and gloom, there's lots of stamp duty hikes, that makes it harder for us in terms of the buy-to-let market. Tax relief on mortgage interest has almost evaporated, and it will do very soon. Brexit, I think it's 4 weeks today we vote. So, again, there's lots of uncertainty in the marketplace. I get more calls from agents now than I've ever done before about price reductions as opposed to new listings. So for me, that is a really important, barometer on my radar, that we're back to the time. Now, I want to learn from the mistakes or challenges that I had in 2009 to really kind of try to relish the opportunity that's coming ahead, I think. Again, oil prices are tumbling. An investment bank, I won't say who it is, said to a massive audience of senior investors that now is not a time to look for return on capital, it's actually a time to return your capital. Now, that was a bank. I'm not going to say which of the big four it was, but that was about 8-9 weeks ago. The Chinese economy, who knows what's happening with all the big infrastructure projects in London, Battersea Power Stations, so many Chinese investors, Asian investors invested in the project, big infrastructure projects. Is there an opportunity there with those units perhaps? Because there's going to be, completion timelines coming through. In fact, in 2017, just next year, the first units as part of the Battersea Power Station project, a global development. And will people be able to get the bank funding that they thought they're going to get when they actually enter into those agreements? So again, we're looking at all sorts of opportunities, political unrest across the world, and is there another recession moving? So, my view really is that I want to grow my business, and I've got a few joint venture partners in the audience here today, but I know that growth isn't going to come from bank funding. So I've already switched off from bank funding, and I'm looking at equity funding, crowdfunding, peer-to-peer, private crowdfunding. Now, people have been asking me, what's private crowdfunding? Well, really, it's the same as crowdfunding, but it's going to people that you know. It's joint ventures that you build, it's relationships that you instigate. So I've built up a group of people, and we call it Invest 500. So we were looking for people who have up to 500k to invest in projects. It's quite simple. We're a working committee of highly experienced, like-minded investment partners. I have to say sophisticated investment partners for FCA regulations. We collaborate on lucrative London commercial investments and residential developments. Now, the reason I collaborate on commercial investments is because when I left the corporate world in 2009, I effectively said goodbye to my income. So at that time, most people were talking about HMOs, they were talking about multi-lets, and I don't like to follow the crowd. I always try and do something different. And I thought, well, it's great, but I'd like to do something a little bit different. So I was looking at properties, and I saw some amazing properties, and I thought, I don't really know much about commercial investments, but let's explore further. There was something that resonated, and Nicole said earlier, it was about falling in love with a property. And I'm going to show you the first commercial property I fell in love with. And I knew I was going to buy it. That was my conviction to myself. And then I just had to find out what I was going to do with it to actually make some income. So we look for investors with liquid funds to invest in high-yielding projects to generate significant returns. Now, in terms of commercial benefits, it's much easier to negotiate terms with a bank if you look for a lower loan to value, because you're de-risking the investment for the bank. And that was really our kind of take-up. For years we were taking deals to banks and saying, can you fund this opportunity? They liked it, but they were taking 3 months to say no to me, in effect, because they put it through underwriting, through credit risk, their analysis team. And I thought, why should they dictate to me that these opportunities can't work when I can see that there's something here? And I'd like to get your view in a moment on a couple of the slides. But so I kind of decided then that having gone to the banks and they keep telling me that they will fund it initially, they're interested in the opportunity, they like the asset, I'm going to go back and ask a different question. So now I go to the bank and say, look, this is how much I'm looking for, this is what we're going to do, does this deal work for you? And if they say yes, brilliant, and I'll ask for the rate that I want, that I need for that deal, rather than them telling me that this is the amount of money you can have and it's going to cost you this much and we're going to lend it for this longer period. So I've kind of changed the table in the way that I think. I'm trying to put the bank's mindset on when I go and see them. Because I want them as a JV partner. Maybe not at the start, but maybe I want to finance out with them. So I'm looking for multiple JV partnerships, whether it's the bank, whether it's investors, whether it's developers. And I'm always looking for more JV partners. So the other interesting point that Vanish and Ranjan mentioned to me 6 years ago is that we were very fortunate, and Ranjan and Vanish came and gave us some of their advice and said, can we spend some time with you? And they said, who are you talking to when you're approaching joint venture finance or joint venture banks? And we named all the usual suspects and some of the challenger banks that were there at the time. And Vanish turned up at a meeting and he pulled out a piece of paper. He said, how many banks are there in London? I didn't know the answer, if I'm honest. I thought, I think I said 20, 30. Anybody else got and hazard a guess who's in the finance world? And he handed me these 2 pages. He said, look, this is just a small list of banks. I think there's about 100 banks in London on those 2 pieces of paper. And I thought, gosh, what is a bank? We think of the big 4, the big 6, the big 8, whatever they are, whoever you want to, the NatWest, the RBSs of the world. But he said that there's private equity banks, there's groups of people who are doing joint ventures. I mean, this is when, I had no grey hairs. It was a moment when I grew grey hairs because I thought, I've missed a massive trick here, and I need to build better relationships with different types of lenders. So I'm going to show you some opportunities. So this is a building that I fell in love with. So it's from this drain pipe to that drain pipe. It's over 3 floors. It's in a beautiful views. And if you look at that, what you can't see, because I think that shot was taken in winter from the tree. There's planters, there's trees, there's flowers. I mean, to me, when I saw that building, I thought it was a townhouse or a mews full of townhouses. Can anybody guess what that building is? It is, it's offices. Originally, it spanned from one end of the mews to the other. And I don't know if there's anybody here as old as I am, but it used to be the trill. Does anybody know what trill birdseed is? This is I'm going back a long time now. This is when people had budgies as pets. And they used to have budgies as pets in case the gas came out of the gas fire. And the budgie would smell it, and if it was asleep, you kind of think maybe we need to switch off the gas. But trill birdseed, we used to, I remember the boxes years ago, but it then went on. I think it was a trill birdseed admin office back in the 60s. Before that, it was a home for children. And I looked at it and I thought, why is this for sale? It'd been on the market for about 15 months. And why is nobody buying it? And I'd never invested or dabbled with commercial property. But then my dad said to me, is that this is my dad, when he went for his first buy-to-let mortgage years ago, he said we didn't have buy-to-let, it was a commercial mortgage. So he went for a commercial loan. So it kind of reframes me in my mind that actually buy-to-let is a new phenomenon. So why am I thinking, forget buy-to-let? Think of it's a building, what can we do with it? How can we generate income? Maybe that's why it's not selling, is people are looking at it for its existing use rather than what it can be. It's a bit like, I drive a car. For me, it's my car. It gets me from A to B. For somebody that's working as a taxi driver, it's his or her means of income. And then for somebody that's utilising it 24 hours a day when the taxi driver is asleep, that's leverage. You're maximising your cash flow using the same asset. So I thought, how can I use this asset in a different way? It was 2,000 square feet when we took it over. This is what it looked like, a staircase and a mezzanine. What you can't see, I'm not sure if there's a pointer on this, but it had a floor that was unusable. Even, I'm quite vertically challenged, but you couldn't get up there. It was a massive roller deck filing system that had been put in, and a massive steel structure to support it. These days, everything's digital. So the first thing I did when I got in there was raise the roof. Because I looked at the building and I thought we've got some great space here, but I could just paint it, refurbish it lightly and get it rented out. But for me, I love the building. I thought there's more to this building. And as you can see, we actually, that was quite at the time, maybe it's foolish, but for me it was kind of quite an important point because I thought if we can get some more floor space on the mezzanine, can we just whiz through to the after picture? So this is the mezzanine now, and the reason I whizzed to this is because I thought, well, what am I selling here? It's floor space, it's usable floor space, that's what's going to bring me the income. And so we kind of took off the roof of the building, renovated it. I won't go through because I'm really short of time, but at the time it took about 9 months to do. The banks wouldn't fund this building, and yet that building was cheaper than the average 1 to 2 bedroom flat in that postcode. Is that quite shocking? So when I looked at that building, to me I thought, well, what's my exit point here? I don't know what I'm doing. I'll take a gamble, I'll joint venture, I'll speak to people that I know who can advise me. But in my mind I was thinking, well, what's my exit strategy? If it doesn't work as an office, I thought, for me, I was seeing 3 flats. Or I was seeing a big townhouse in a lovely news. And this is before permitted development. So I converted the building, we've got great tenants in, I learned a lot along the way, but it's not about the sort of before and after pictures, it's more about joint venturing with people that have done this before, or joint venturing with people that perhaps can give you advice. And I made a few mistakes, but this is one of the sort of smaller projects that we've done, but again, the banks weren't willing to lend on that project. Can everybody see the numbers? So in terms of all of our money in, that's including the refurb and the finance at the start, we spent about £500,000. And then when I did the post-refurb value, permitted development kicked in. So it was worth more as a residential building than it was as an office space. But for me, I was getting a much greater yield because the price per square foot was an office. Because there was a shortage of office space in the area, because everyone was converting it to residential, we got more per square foot for rental office space. And that was my strategy. I thought, well, again, I'm not going to follow the crowd, because I'm sure there will be a bigger demand for office space as we come out of the recession. And I run an advert for this building, and every week I get inquiries, still. I do it to measure the responses in what people do. So I could have pulled out all the money that we invested, but because I was getting a good rate, I used private crowdfunding to develop it, and then I went to a crowdfunding lender who specialised in commercial property to finance out, because the banks still weren't giving me what I wanted. So I had to find another joint venture partner. And the crowdfunding company that I went with, the reason I chose them is because they offer you interest-only loans, whereas the bank, what they want the loan repaid over the term. But what it meant is that eroded my cash flow. And I thought, well, I want to do this again. I don't want to pay back the loan because that's not the point of what I'm doing. So this was my next project. This is a development in Putney, and there are 3 developers there. And I noticed there were lots of commercial spaces on the ground floor that nobody was touching. All the apartments were being pre-sold. All the apartments were fitted with nice glossy finishes, and marble floors, and all the rest of the design features that you'd expect in an area like that. But all of the commercial units were empty. So I went around and I thought, you know, the one that we bought was the complete ground floor unit, and we did put an offer in to buy all of the remaining units. But again, at the time, it was finding enough joint venture partners who could see the vision. So we took over this unit. Can anybody see a similarity between what we did with the last one and what we're doing here? So we put in the mezzanine, which is free space. And I'm going to whiz through and just give you a summary. So initially, the apartments above us, when we bought this, was selling at 3 times the price. And I thought, well, hang on, we're paying a third of what's above me. We're in this amazing riverside development. All the Barrettts, Frasers and Taylor Wimpey are building here. It's one of these new BREEAM developments, which mean that you're not going to have as many cars in the area. Everything's done to an eco-friendly standard. And it was and there's a riverboat, by the way, that takes you into the city, so you don't have to get the tube or the train or the bus. And I was convinced that, but again, I had to find new joint venture partners to acquire this, develop it, and then refinance out, either with traditional crowdfunding or with another lender. I'm going to run through a residential project. Does anybody know the area, Herne Hill or Tulsa? South London, just, I guess it's becoming the new Brixton, which is shot through the roof. So this is a period building that one of my joint venture equity partners is in the room, proud. And we privately crowdfunded it. We put in the seed capital to buy it. On this one, we did work with a bank. That's the building there. Nothing amazing about it. It looks a little bit tired, but again, we saw the opportunity. We understood the area. We got to know the local requirements. That's probably not come out too well on this slide, but gives you an idea of how bad the internals were. We had to completely re-engineer the building, and that's the same apartment on the top floor, which was the sort of, I guess you call it the box room top floor apartment. In fact, you can see it on the right at the top. So this is now a picture that's taken at the back, completely re-engineered. I'm just kind of showing you the vision, because this is how we had to get joint venture partners in. I worked with the other Invest 500 partners, and it gives you an idea of really what you can do if you work in joint ventures, because the banks won't always fund you, and I think it's going to get harder to get bank funding. So again, you can see one of our partners, Karen, has an amazing design flair. She did a sterling job with staging and design the apartment. She got heavily involved from day one. And you can see the touches there. But we've, we didn't pre-sell these, like Nicole mentioned earlier, but we did work with agents to finalise a spec and understand what the market wanted. But we did actually get 3 under offer before they were able to exchange, before we'd actually got the freehold and the new leases assigned. So we did pre-sell them, and I think that actually 3 of the 5 are due to exchange within the next few days, and then we've got another one that's just gone under offer today. Again, top line numbers, very, very top line. We privately crowdfunded the equity that we needed. We got a great rate of interest from the bank, because again, we didn't go to them looking for huge amounts of money. We went to them to give us a sensible amount of money that we would get a great rate on. The benefits of crowdfunding for us is that I think it's reshaping the financial marketplace. It offers greater flexibility, but crowdfunding is really just joint venture funding. Is there anybody in the room that's used crowdfunding? Oh, fantastic. Has anybody used it for property funding? Oh, brilliant. Okay, you're the second person that I've met that's actually used crowdfunding on property transactions. And I can't believe it. I can't believe that everybody's talking about crowdfunding. It's even in TV comedy shows. They've got adverts from Wellesley, you know, put your money into crowdfunding or peer-to-peer lending, and yet nobody's used it. And it fascinates me because I'm getting great rates, cheaper than bridging, more flexible, and it's innovative. They're lending me money. This is another office building that we just bought. Really, I wanted to kind of give our investors and our JV partners a sense of conviction. So we've just bought an office building right opposite Kensington Gardens. It's really a great place for us to sort of work. We spend so much time, you know, Ranjan talks about live-work units and work-live units, but we wanted to give our JV partners a sense of confidence that we're not here in a serviced apartment, serviced office where we're, you know, in Mayfair, we can literally pick up your file and go, we're here to stay because we believe in our business, we believe in our model, and we're getting more and more joint venture partners. The other thing that I must say before I wrap up, everybody talks about property and price per square foot or price per square metre. We've just invested in the most expensive coffee machine, price per square inch. So if any of you are in Kensington or anywhere in central London, happy to meet up, come and have a chat, love to hear your story, and you know, tell us about your joint venture journey. Thank you.